Okay, welcome back. This is another video in an 8-part series on facilitation qualities. I'm Kalani, this is World Drum Club, and I'm talking about the Facilitator Qualities Matrix, or collection of qualities or traits, or, whatever you want to call it, archetypal zones that we can get into when we're facilitating a group process. Now, I'm going to talk in terms of music, but of course these apply to lots and lots of different situations. So this one in particular, this guardian archetype or characteristic or quality, certainly applies to music, but it also applies to parenting. It applies to being a manager or a coach. Lots of different roles or hats that you could put on. So let's talk about this guardian quality that is the partner quality, or kind of at the other end of the spectrum, to the friend characteristic. Well, guardian is super important. And I think of the warrior archetype, actually, because, believe it or not, the warrior archetype is based on safety and protection more so than combat and fighting and kind of attacking. It's really about safety, keeping people safe. And what are some of the ways we do that? Well, one of the main ways that we can be a guardian for our people is to set clear boundaries, right? Guidelines. However you want to think of that. Guidelines help keep people in the road, in the line, so they're not going off the cliff, they're not going where they shouldn't be going. It's keeping people safe. And that could be rules, that could be standards, that could be best practices, that could be a culture of, this is how we treat people, this is how we do things, which implies that like those things are not what we do, right? Because we do it this way. Being a guardian means saying no, just like the friend archetype or characteristic was about saying yes. Yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's do. The guardian is the kind of the opposite of that, for the reason of keeping people safe, not to be mean, not to invalidate people, but to keep people safe. So, if I'm facilitating an experience and somebody is using an instrument in a way that is unsafe, either for the instrument or for them or for another person, it gets shut down. Now, I'm not saying you go over and you're not going to grab something out of somebody's hand. There's ways to handle these things. First of all, that's why we're in the teacher role, the leader role. Hopefully we're modeling things. But if people are, being unsafe, maybe you give them a replacement activity. You occupy that space that they were taking up with the unsafe thing, and you give them a safe thing to do, right? Or redirect them. And sometimes it's just like a quiet and personal, like up close, no. You got to find something else to do, all right? And then, just give somebody kind of a choice. I mean, a lot of these management strategies you're probably familiar with. You give people a suggestion or an option, maybe that has a consequence if they don't follow it. There's all kinds of ways that we can manage in a way that doesn't destroy somebody's fun or their ego or both, or, bring down the vibe, right? Because the guardian is about safety, but it's not about dominating everybody and ruining the experience. So the trick is, how do you set people up for success, encourage people, be the friend, be the teacher, be the leader, and yet also keep everyone safe, sometimes even from themselves or from each other. So there's ways that you need to manage things. I really am a strong believer in not publicly shaming. Of course, nobody wants that. But I mean, even just calling out behavior in public, I think that can be really damaging and traumatic for people. And sometimes you get a lot of pushback because nobody wants to be called out in public. So that's when you get people like pushing back. But if you can find a way to address something privately, maybe pull somebody aside a little bit and just speak to them one-on-one, that really helps keep people safe in their own way. That's a double safe thing, because you could be addressing a behavior that is an issue for the group, but then when you address it privately with that person, so you keep them safe at the same time, like they're keeping their ego safe. So, it can be a win-win, because you can address the main issue and also build trust and rapport with that person by respecting them like that and not calling them out in public, which can do the opposite of bringing them into the group and establishing trust and rapport directly with that person, right? Or if it might be a whole group of people. You have to remember that a guardianship is a matter of trust. And just like I mentioned the warrior archetype a little bit earlier, the warrior archetype is based on honor and integrity, which are also based on trust, right? So setting boundaries, setting and giving and maintaining clear guidelines. Of course, the guardian relates to the teacher role, because in order for people to be safe, they have to know what is safe and maybe know what is not safe. So that's where you can, as your teacher, put your teacher hat on. You say, well, we're going to do it this way because of that, and then don't do it this way, and that's, you know, your teacher role. But the guardian role is about enforcement, and it's about doing what you need to do in the moment, just to, you know, yeah, keep people safe physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. All right, all these areas of safety, and they all add up, and they're all interrelated. So, you know, if you don't keep people safe physically, they're not going to feel safe, you know, emotionally. If you betray somebody intellectually, they might also feel emotionally unsafe around you, right? So consider all of that when you're facilitating, when you're dealing with people, when you're communicating, how you're communicating, whether it's one-on-one or it's the whole group, and of course a lot of the ways that we impart this information are through a process or a technique that I've already talked about, which is called modeling. So, you know, walking the talk and being a model citizen and showing people how to be safe and what that looks like. Okay? If you have anything else you'd like to add to this discussion about this topic, do it in the comments. And of course, we appreciate that, keeping your comments productive and respectful, as always. And if you'd like to do more and connect with me more and the other people that support World Drum Club, go to World Drum Club at patreon.com/Kalani. And if you choose to support the channel, you can get downloads and extra stuff that's not here on YouTube. All right? Stay safe out there, my friends. And watch the other 7 videos that are part of this series, which should be connected to this video somehow. I don't know. It's in a playlist. All right, I'll see you soon.